Hi, I'm Mike Ryder, Executive Director of the Rock County Historical Society, and it's my pleasure to be sitting here with Dr. Neeno. We're going to be doing an in-depth oral history interview about his life growing up in Janesville. Where in Japan did your family originate from?
My mother was from a very wealthy family in Tokyo.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, in the early 1900s, she graduated from a private women's college, which would have been quite an accomplishment no matter where in the world.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was in a family of 5 boys, and his oldest, this is the sort of tradition of primogeniture. The top guy gets everything and the other guys are on their own.
Yeah.
Well, his oldest brother, believe it or not, graduated from the University of Michigan Law School in 1905, and later on was on the Supreme Court in Japan. The Japanese government didn't allow any citizen to leave until 1880. The first group went to Hawaii to work in the pineapple plantation. Then they transshipped to the United States, and by 1900 there were approximately 25,000 Japanese there. Then they ran into building discrimination. The first Orientals in California were not the Japanese, they were the Chinese. When the gold strike occurred in the 1840s, the Chinese were recruited as a source of cheap labor, and they stayed through 1850 to help finish the transcontinental railroad line. And after that, they were considered a source of cheap labor and no longer wanted because they would be competed with American labor. And it was in that climate that the Japanese arrived, i.e. into a bill of discrimination. And as far as my family is concerned, my dad married my mother before he came to the United States. Dad arrived around 1905, and he ran right smack into building and discrimination. All the trades were closed to Orientals. The citizenship was denied, and this goes back to right after the Civil War. A Japanese showed up, and he demanded citizenship. And they said, well, you're not white, you're not a free black, so go away. And my folks couldn't get citizenship until 1952 because there was no chance of becoming a citizen, and thereby having the power to vote. He realized he couldn't join any trade, which already were closed to Japanese, Americans, and Chinese. And so he became a farmer. But even that, the inability to become a citizen naturally denied your right to buy any land. And so he worked in various farms. I was born in 25. So I'm a true Depression kid. My mother was an excellent seamstress and tailor, and it was she, with all her working, that kept the family going. I still recall when I was about 5 years old. Anything prior to that, my memory is too hazy, but we were living in Los Angeles where I was born, And at that time, my dad worked as a night watchman in a dry cleaning outfit. There was nothing to watch. It was his job simply to take all the dirty clothes and turn the pockets inside out. My dad, my sister and I were top of our class in high school, so we never felt in any way poor in any sense of the word. Then, as you recall, Pearl Harbor occurred in 19th of February 1942. President Donald Roosevelt issued his infamous order. Now in it, he didn't say put the Japs in prison. He just simply said he authorized any military commander to either expel or detain any person he felt might be a threat to security in his area of command. In the East Coast, the German submarines were going crazy. 1 month they sank over 100 American Allied transports. So what do you do with German Americans? Well, you don't do anything. After all, Wisconsin, for example, was settled initially by Germans. My wife is a Janesville girl. She remembers churches had German sermons, German newspapers. But on the West Coast, a different story. We weren't Caucasian, we were Japanese. The commander of the Western Authority was a real dude called General John DeWitt. And the first thing he did was put an 8 o'clock curfew upon us. And limit of 5 miles radius from your home for any movement. We lived in town, this is no hardship, but and it was time for supplies, how to get clearance from the FBI each time, a real nuisance. John DeWitt further felt that that wasn't enough, so he demanded that all the Japanese be imprisoned. And to show you what kind of a mind he had, here's a jerk quote by General John DeWitt. A Jap's a Jap. It makes no difference whether he is an American citizen or not. I don't want any of them. They are a dangerous element. There is no way to determine their loyalty. And he therefore campaigned for imprisonment. Strangely, in Hawaii, at the point of attack, the Japanese Americans, and there were about 150,000 Japanese Americans living there, nothing was done to them. The governor understandably put the island under martial care, but the Japanese Americans were in no way singled out. The prisons were scattered in the most godforsaken place in the world. And there are 10 of them. And the one in Arkansas, they had to close down because it was on swampland and everybody got malaria, so they finally closed that down. But I lived on the border of California and Arizona. And here it is right here, right there. The camp, for some reason, was split into 3. Camp 1 had 10,000 people, and 3 miles away, Camp 2 had 5, and Camp 3, 5 people. The whole state was plastered with signs saying that all Japanese must leave California on a certain day. So, business-wise, all the Japanese lost their shirt. It was a fire sale. They knew when they had a legal state believer proposition. In May GIs came, bayonet ready, and prodded us into buses to go to prison. Now the government termed that evacuation, but in my mind, evacuation implies we are here from the government to help you. You are victims of flood, of earthquakes. But in this case, we are here from the government and we are going to stick you in prison. And we're allowed to take only a suitcase apiece. All the furniture now are put into a Japanese American Methodist church, which the vandals promptly burned down while we were in prison. If you had more than 5 people, they will allow you extra space, but my parents and my 2 sibs and I made 5, so we had 11 there. For food, we had a big mess hall. And granted, the whole country was under food rationing, but the food was lousy. I still remember, for breakfast, they gave us apple butter. Now, you think apple butter is butter with some apple. Well, it wasn't. It was applesauce stained bread, and they call it apple butter. Breakfast was apple butter with dry bread. Lunch was apple butter with dry bread and something which for the sake of sanity, I blacked out so much of this that I can't even remember what we ate for supper.
Yeah.
But believe me, it wasn't anything very great. Around August, the government realized that many of us still needed schooling. I had finished my junior year, so I needed 1 more year. Well, only problem, there weren't any schools. So they took barracks that had an empty apartment, and that would be a school. No furniture. So they said, well, there's a scrap pile left over from building the barracks. You guys go over there and make your chair and table. Then they put out a call for teachers. Big problem. Back in California, the California Teachers Federation doesn't allow Japanese to become teachers. And in fact, the old saying among the Japanese were, in those days, UCal Berkeley, which is still one of the best universities in the world, was tuition free. So after high school, we'd go there. Then we looked for a job and nothing. So our old saying was that California had the best educated grocery clerks in the country, because that was the job we found. And then the evacuation started. When we first arrived at camp, we were used to the desert, no problem there. And then, given the apartment number, my mother was able to find a job as a teacher, sewing and doing tailoring. And my dad naturally was a cook in the mess hall. The pay rate was great. If you were an unskilled worker such as I washed dishes in the kitchen. It was $12 a month. If you were skilled, like my mother and father, it was $16 a month. And then if you were really well educated and trained like a doctor, he got $19 a month. And bless their hearts, most Japanese American doctors could have fled to the east. You were allowed to go east in Mississippi if you would. But they came along with us and stuck with us. So I got a job in the kitchen. And how do you dry gazillion silverware after each meal? We found a great way, but don't try this at home. You stick all the silverware into a mattress cover, and about 20 guys hold a certain portion and shake it like it, and it dried in no time, but it sure scratched things up. And then in August, they put out the call for a teacher, no teacher. So they did the best they could. My English teacher was a Chinese major, and I'm sure he taught us more Chinese than English. My trigonometry geometry teacher was an engineer. Well, he knew his engineering, but after all, pedagogy is a science. How do you teach a person that doesn't quite catch on? Yeah, he couldn't do that. You either caught on or you didn't. Then our nicest was our chem teacher. He was a junior and majored in chemistry at UCal Berkeley. And he would 2 cups full of water, and he says, okay, this is reagent A, this is reagent B, and I'm gonna mix it, and it's gonna boom, and that's an acid-base reaction. Write it down. And he said, each one will create a different color. And I deliberately, when I give these talk, say that the color was red, white, and blue. and it's meant to be insult. But based on that, when I got to University of Wisconsin, I found that I can keep up with everyone. Graduate with honor, get into medical school. And I give all the things to my Japanese parents. Japanese are strong in education, good conduct, and respect for authority. I graduated high school in camp in June of '43. Mm-hmm. In November of '43, the Army started to allow people to leave the camp after the FBI screening and all this. And instead, there was a side story to that. The FBI questionnaire was 30 questions. Initial ones were just the usual typed ones. But 27, 28 was notorious. 27 simply asked, will you loyally serve in the military? No problem then. But the question 28 caused considerable consternation. They asked, do you forswear allegiance to the Emperor of Japan? Mm-hmm. Now, if you give it a thought, you need to be a grammarian to know to forswear something is an admission that at one time you had sworn allegiance, ergo now you are forswearing it. Mm-hmm. And some people might think they were picky, but I think they're just being intellectually very, very honest with themselves. Yeah. So they answered no, and with 2 no's in a row, they're considered disloyal and thrown in prison. Mm-hmm. When my time came, I said, give me anything. The answer is yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I want it out of here. Yeah. They assigned Japanese Americans to small numbers. I didn't choose Wisconsin. I was told to go to Wisconsin. The minute I rode, I told the office I needed an employment job right away. I have no money for room and board. They gave me a name of a doctor, Dr. Arnold Jackson. He was the owner of the Jackson Clinic, one of the leading thyroid surgeons in the whole world, the president of International College of Physicians. And but right there, do you notice? I got his phone number, called him, and he answered the phone. Can you happen that right now? No way. So we talked, and he didn't even call Mrs. Jackson. He said, okay, let's go home. And for 4 years while I attended pre-med, I was their houseboy, and they treated me wonderfully. From day one, I ate dinner with the family, and the irony was they had a sleep-in maid who had served the whole family, including me, and then retreated to the kitchen to eat by herself. I found no discrimination at all. And at the very peak, I would say there were about 100 Japanese Americans attend the University of Wisconsin. And the acceptance, attendance of the medical school was solely based on your scholastic achievement. And I was accepted at Drexel University, which is in Philadelphia. After 4 years, incidentally, in those days, after you finish medical school, everyone was required to put 2 years in the Army. But fortunately, I had served in the Army between 46 and 48, so I'd have to go through that. And I came back to Madison, and I found that Dick Schroeder was the only pediatrician in Janesville. So I went up to see him and said, can I join you? And he said, sure, by all means. I would see patients and make house calls. Many times I wouldn't get home till 9 at night. But he was a good pediatrician, good man. And again, the acceptance was 100%. You know what kind of interests me, even as an Oriental, I can't tell Japanese from Korean from Chinese. If someone had asked, I would say, yeah, I'm Japanese, and that would be an entree to give them my background. But whether it be at pre-med, med school, even in practice, I practiced for 42 years, I don't recall anyone asking me, was I Japanese? I think it was total acceptance by the nicest people in the world. And then on 13th, that's a Friday, 13th of August, 1999, I retired. And I tell all my doctor colleagues, don't retire. In the office, you're the boss. Nobody, certainly not a nurse, tells the doctor what to do. The minute I retired, my wife got a houseboy, and so it's been a houseboy since. When President Carter was in the White House, he set up a commission to examine whether or not this whole evacuation internment was called for. And he decided their conclusion was that it was entirely undemocratic, unnecessary. And recompensation, they gave us $20,000 tax-free. So I like to tell my white friends, for another $20,000 tax-free, you can kick me anytime, but I haven't had any takers on that.
One of the questions here is, there was a Gazette article a while back that you received an apology letter from President Bush in 1990.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts about that when you received it? Did you know it was coming? Was it kind of out of the blue, unexpected, or?
It came out of the blue, but it's a nice framed letter, you know.
Yeah.
And it was very nice of him.
You know, talking more about the local community here in Janesville, you know, what are some of the things that, you know, that you've witnessed that have changed throughout the years here in the community that you thought were significant?
Perhaps the only change was when I came to Janesville in '57. There wasn't an emergency room at all. Mm-hmm. If I had sew up a kid after a cut, I would simply go to Mercy, look for a nurse, open up the room, and that was it.
What do you think about Rock County? What was it about Rock County that you felt like it was worth staying for a while?
Well, primarily it came because this is my wife's hometown.
Okay, and how did you meet? How did the two of you meet?
I finished med school in Philadelphia, and I came back to Methodist Hospital, which is on Murder, and I became an intern. Intern is 1 year training after you're finished med school, and then you go into your specialty, even family practice. They've done away with that now. Now you simply go right into your chosen profession. But I had to be an intern, so I felt I owed Dr. Arnold Jackson something in a way of helping out. And I came to Memphis, and there is nobody more cocky and know it all than a med school student right out of school. Wow. Unfortunately, I ran into a head nurse who'd been a head nurse at Memphis of the surgical and pediatric floor, and she knew exactly how to handle one of these cocky med students. So we argued every year, and and that was professionally.
Sure.
But socially, we got along wonderfully. And at the end of the year, we got married, and just short time ago, 11th of June was our 61st wedding anniversary.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. And for anyone else that wants to be happily married that long, it's just 2 words. Now, I love you won't do. That's 3 words. The 2 magic words is, yes, dear. Yes, dear.
What do you think, you know, from your generation, the greatest generation, to the young generation, the millennials and even younger, what would you say is the best way for them to remember the lessons of what you and your family experienced?
I almost see that as a futile attempt, as I said. I'm sure the average teenager doesn't have a faintest idea.
Yeah.
But it goes to show how we must eternally stay diligent about discrimination occurring in our country. You know, I had a chance to go to Japan for 2 years in the occupation, and I still think this is the greatest country in the world. And paraphrase Winston Churchill, Americans do the right things after they've exhausted all the other choices. And so we did dumb things here and there, but we still try to be good.
Dr. Neeno, I can't thank you enough for coming to the
Wow,
Historical
great pleasure.
Society and
Great
finally to
pleasure.
meet you. And this is somewhat of a historic event in the fact that this is the first time you've ever come to the Lincoln Tallman House and visited our campus. So
You know, you think you know it, you go past it
Sure.
every day
Sure.
after going, make your rounds of mercy.